welcome to RetroLogic episode 79. I'm Dan Caparello here with John Cummins and Sam Wagers. And today we are going to talk about the Nintendo. Not the company, not the word, but the entertainment system. That's what we're going to talk about. The Nintendo. And do you guys remember when Nintendo had this whole ad campaign? They were like, don't call it a Nintendo, because they were worried about losing their trademark.
Yeah.
Remember that? That was crazy.
Yep.
Trademark law.
I feel like that's a sign that you're doing really well when people mistake your company name for the actual product.
Right, like Xerox, Kleenex.
Well, not even
Kleenex,
Band-Aid.
Not even just their product, but other people's, like,
this is the Sega Nintendo.
Master System was a Nintendo at that point in time.
A word that meant video games. It's funny they had a whole campaign trying to get people. Anyway, RetroLogic isn't just a podcast. It's a whole community of retro gamers. You can visit retrologic.games. That's our website. For our Discord link, fair trade, merch, blogs, posts written by Sam Wagers, and dive into our family of podcasts, including Retro Groove, a music history podcast, On Topic Retro, a podcast dedicated to one video game per episode, hosted by our very own John Cummins. A little bit of housekeeping today, guys. We have a RetroRewind game going on for the month of May now. Gosh. Episodes every other week make things go by way faster. You know? It's like so much time has passed.
Yeah. Doing less of them.
We're playing Earthworm Jim 2. Which either of you been playing Earthworm Jim 2?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have.
I've never beaten Earthworm Jim 2.
I'm questioning why I liked it when I was a kid.
I don't think anybody has beat it.
Nobody ever. I wonder what the speed run. What's the speed run time on that?
The cow abduction level is usually where I lose my last continue.
Yeah.
By the time I get to Flying King, I'm ready to just quit anyway. You don't even lose lives there, but it takes forever.
So if you at home want to play Earthworm Jim with us and listen to or be featured on an upcoming On Topic Retro episode featuring Earthworm Jim, you know what to do. And we've also got... I was featured in an episode of A Gamer Looks at 40 podcast, and I'm talking about the Super Nintendo game Uniracers. So if you don't know what that is, or you do know what it is, and you want to hear me talk about it, because my parents bought it for me when I was a kid for some reason, you can check out A Gamer Looks at 40 podcast, one of our good friends over there. And then last but not least... So last but not least, we want to plug the NES Pro magazine, which is a magazine that is being kickstarted right now, is actually now fully funded, but there's still time for you to go support the NES Pro magazine, which is being managed or edited by our very own friend, Well-Read Mage. So we would really appreciate you guys going and supporting.
I think one of his articles from the Pixels, his website, is being featured in the magazine.
Is that all? I thought he was like doing some kind of role, as in like editing or managing or something. The project.
He might be, but as far as what I could tell in the Kickstarter, that's his role within the magazine, is that they're going to feature his article on the definition of retro to today's gamers, like what it actually means.
Interesting. Okay. Well, cool. Yeah, go support that. Love to support the community of retro gamers doing cool things. That being said, guys, let's go around the horn and do our icebreaker, starting with Sam. Y'all bought a lot of stuff this week. What the heck?
I did. I went to an actual store. You know, it's crazy. Crazy what happens when you go to an actual retro game store with like an actually good selection of things. So I'd been to this place before. Play It, Games, Movies, and More. They have 4 locations in Columbus. This is the one that's closest to me, and it's close to Ohio State's campus. So it gets a lot of traffic because college students need cash and have games. So... yeah, I went and I actually traded in 2 games. I traded in my copies of Darkstalkers and Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, because I figure I will probably just be playing them on the Capcom Fighting Collection that's coming to Switch soon from now on. And went home with several PS2, PS1, and one Game Boy game. So I picked up Gungriffon Blaze for the PS2. That's like a mech shooter game. Kind of fun. Messed around with that a little bit. Growlanser Heritage of War for the PS2, which is probably like the best value pickup, because I got this for $20. Price charting has it at $48, and that's the loose copy. This was a loose copy as well. It's like a strategy RPG of sorts. Although you could just call it an RPG, I guess. I played through the very beginning of it, and it kind of reminds me of like early PC RPGs. And I've actually looked up some info on it, and that is a consensus people have on this series. Is some people are like, this is like if Baldur's Gate was a JRPG, it would be Growlanser. But yeah, it's real time, sort of active time combat. You control one character directly, and you can pause and issue commands to your party. But the encounters aren't exactly random. They all just kind of, monsters just appear on the map, and you just have to clear that area before you can move on. So it does some cool things.
It's like top down. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah, this is actually the 5th game in the series, but this is one of those like kind of obscure Japanese series that not every game came to the wider world, to the US or to Europe. Mm-hmm. So they dropped the 5 from it when they localized it. But yeah, if I get around to it, it'll probably be an interesting playthrough. I also got Colony Wars for the PS1. That's like a cool space shooter, space combat game. Mm-hmm. It apparently has a very extensive branching storyline where exactly how well you do on different missions will diverge. So it's a short game, but it actually has 2 discs because it just has like that much replay value. So I'm kind of excited to check that one out more. I pretty much just did the tutorial on the first mission so far. But it's pretty fun. It's got its quirks. It definitely does show its age in some ways, but it also seems like it was ahead of its time in others. And also Solar Striker for the Game Boy, because this is one of those Nintendo developed games that doesn't really get remembered as much, and sometimes those are interesting.
I see it in Game Boy lots quite a bit. Like it's always one of the cheap games in there.
I still need.
I mean, it's a pretty standard vertical scrolling shooter. It's just that this one happened to actually be developed by Nintendo EAD1.
Oh wow!
So it's kind of interesting, just as a collection piece, I guess. Not that it's rare, but just as a piece of Nintendo history, I think it deserves some consideration for that. And also, there's been a lot of sales on Steam for Golden Week. Like every Japanese game publisher marked down a bunch of stuff on Steam. And so among all of that, I purchased the Umihara Kawase trilogy. So these games were initially much older before they came to Steam, but these are PC ports, basically emulation-based ports. The original game is a Japan-only Super Famicom title. And yeah, this is a like platformer where you play as this little girl with a fish hook that you use to grapple around. And it's like puzzle platformer stages. All the enemies are fish that have legs for some reason.
Oh, wow.
And it's very physics-based. Really interesting because it was like a very early indie game. Essentially has a unique art style, very like hand drawn. I mean, it's a Super Nintendo game, so it's still pixely, but it looks kind of hand drawn, sort of like a Yoshi's Island, Kirby's Dream Land 3 kind of thing. It was actually a collaboration with like a somewhat famous illustrator in Japan who did all the artwork for it, like all the concept art and stuff. But yeah, so the series went from Super Famicom to PlayStation, and then kind of died out. And they made another one on the 3DS. So for whatever reason, Steam has bundled ports of those three together. They were $2 each. So I said, what the heck? This looks like fun. Got to check that out a little bit. I did have fun with it, just playing the first game. I'll probably stream that soon.
Sweet.
So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, that's great.
And speaking of streaming, I also got a chance to play Rocket Knight Adventures for the first time, and I streamed that last week. That was a lot of fun. I did not beat the game because there are some instant deaths near the end. So it is limited number of continues in true retro fashion. But I did have a lot of fun with it. I mean, honestly, this is probably like a top 3 Genesis game for me now.
It's a good one.
It's real good.
I also did finally get around to patching my own copy of Mother 3. So I have an official copy of Mother 3 now. I use the GB operator to download the ROM from the cartridge, and then got the fan translation and patched that so I can play it. It is my own copy. That's how I do things now. So that's pretty fun. I didn't really play very far. I just kind of wanted to make sure that was working.
Stream that one.
And I'm still playing. Yeah, I will definitely stream Mother 3 at one point. I've streamed the first 2 games. I've got to stream Mother 3. Just kind of taking a break between Earthbound Beginnings and that.
Right.
And I'm still playing Etrian Odyssey 5. I'm probably about halfway through it. Just cleared the 3rd stratum. I think there are 6. Yeah, having a lot of fun with that one too.
Excellente. Thanks, Sam. And then John, your pile of games, please.
Yeah, I get a whole pile whenever we wait 2 weeks to have a show. So I finally got a copy of Dragon Quest Heroes Rocket Slime for the DS. Been looking for a good copy that's not $100 for quite a while. Seems like the value of that one just recently kind of shot up, and a lot of people were pricing it really high for some reason. So I finally found a copy on I think it was OfferUp or one of the sale websites that I use. And asked it had been on there for a little while, so I was like, "Hey, will you do $60?" And he's like, "Yeah."
Sweet. So, Flip it.
Finally knocked that one out. I got Bomberman Land, Blade Dancer, and Half Minute Hero. These are all PSP games. I got these from Zach from our community. He posted a lot of PSP games that he was selling for a friend a little while ago. So I picked those up. Finally have Bomberman. Yeah, Bomberman Land. I think you had asked me about the Wii version at one point, Dan, if I had it. And
DS?
Yeah, was it DS? That's
a DS
Bomberman
version.
Land
Yeah,
Touch.
because my local had it.
Yeah. And then Blade Dancer and Half Minute Hero are both just some RPGs for the PSP. The PSP's got so many good RPGs, and I wish I had more time to play them, but I'm getting a bunch of them. And then while I was at my local, I found Infamous 2, Infamous Second Son, and Front Mission Evolved. So after playing Ghost of Tsushima, I'm kind of going back and getting all the Sucker Punch games that I missed out on because I didn't play. I think I played a little bit of Infamous when I got my PS3, but also had like Fallout 3 and like some other things that pulled me away pretty easily. Even Uncharted 3 probably.
I have not heard good things about Front Mission Evolved, but
that was my value I think I paid like $3 maybe for it complete.
Yeah. That was the attempt to reboot the franchise that did not go over well.
Yeah. Ooh. It looks good.
And really the complaints are more that it's so meh. It's just aggressively meh.
Yeah.
Not even bad. It's just forgettable. Yeah.
It's okay. We don't want okay.
I'm probably going to try that one out though here pretty quick. Like it has to be better than Bionic Commando reboot.
That's a low bar.
Well, when that's your standard though, I think you've got a problem.
Well, that's the last game I played on my 360, so that's the bar I have right now. What else did I get here? I was at a flea market and they had Warhammer 4000 Space Marine for the PS3, Quantum Theory for the PS3, Dead Space 2 for the PS3, Sly Cooper for the PS2, Sly 2 for the PS2, and Murakumo, I think is how you say that. It's another mech game on the 360 or the regular Xbox that I'm hoping is better than the reboot of Front Mission as well. But they had all these games for like $3 a piece. Like they're $3. Like they just had a stack.
Nice.
They're like $3 for any of the ones you want. And I was like, okay, I'll take a bunch of these for $3.
Sly Cooper games are real good.
Yeah, and they're pushing like $20 for a complete copy now.
Yeah, for sure.
For the PS2.
I believe it.
I think I'm only missing Sly 3 because I think the one on PS3 was not made by Sucker Punch.
I think you're right about that.
I couldn't find anywhere that says that it was made by them, so I think, I don't know, I might get it eventually anyway. But I also found out, I mean, I'm glad I bought these because they were $3, but apparently there's a Sly Cooper collection on the PS3 that has all of the games, like kind of not necessarily like slight remaster, I guess.
Yeah, up-resed.
Up-res, yeah. Still going to play more conveniently than my PS2.
Yeah, confirmed. Sly Cooper, the fourth Sly Cooper game on the PS3 was not developed by Sucker Punch.
Yep. So I might leave that one out, but we'll see. If I run across it and it's cheap, I'm.
So what are you missing, Matt? Now,
Rocket,
Infamous First Light. Was that digital only?
Digital only, except for UK.
All right.
So I'm not worried about that. So I'm missing Rocket.
Yeah.
For the 64.
That might be the most expensive one on your list.
It is, and it's crazy because I remember when you bought your copy, you said they had multiple copies. But you had already. It
was $25. Well, and I went back, right, and I remember that copy was like real gross on those contacts, and I was like, it probably doesn't even work, this thing. So
yeah.
I mean, in hindsight, for $25, you might as well have tried it, but I think
you can clean them most of the time. But,
I mean, yeah, I don't risk that. That's just a personal problem.
And I also at this, Steel Diver for the 3DS. I don't know how I've went this long and not had a copy of this game. Everywhere you go, it's like $5, and it's, from what I can tell, like there's some like people that are like diehard players of it that are, really enjoy it. So I was like, for $5 I'll give it a shot. It was kind of in that pile of stuff, but and then I walk around the corner at the same flea market and there's a guy that's selling a Master System for $100. It came with 2 controllers and the phaser.
Nice.
And Hang On and Safari Hunt, like included like a bundle. $100. The phaser itself is $40 almost.
That's sick.
The Menacer, right? That's what it's called?
No, that's the Genesis.
No,
Genesis
that's the Genesis one.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
what's
the Master System
one?
It's the phaser.
Light
It's
phaser.
like a black.
Okay.
It looks like a black light gun.
It's a black zapper.
Like
you can see
zapper. It's super clean, and I was like, I don't really need a Master System, but I will probably never run into another bundle of Master System for $100.
No, that's a steal.
I went ahead and pulled the trigger on that. It doesn't have the OEM power supply, which I'm kind of upset, but I can get. It's the same as the Genesis 1, isn't it?
Genesis 1 is the same as the NES. All 3 of those use the same basic power supply. Okay. You're fine. Yeah.
So after I got my Master System, I immediately went back to my other local and found a copy of Spellcaster for the Master System, which is very weird. I was kind of I didn't look anything up on it. They just had it there, and it was like, I think I paid like $10 or $15 for it. It's like a $30 game, but I didn't know what I was getting into, and it's like a weird platforming shooter type deal, but instead of a gun, you have you just shoot spells.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it's old though, it's kind of janky, but it was worth $15 to help me try out my new master system.
Sweet.
So that's pretty much what I've picked up. So what I've been playing, I've almost played through Donkey Kong 94, or Donkey Kong for the Game Boy as it's officially titled. I think I've almost played through it twice now. I played through most of it, and then my battery died on my original copy. Same battery quit. So I think I made it to World 5 or 6, so it's a little over halfway, and then the battery died. So then I bought it on the 3DS and played through it on the Virtual Console and beat it. Played all the way through.
You were like, "Well, screw you, cartridge."
Yeah. Well, I didn't have another battery, and then I ordered batteries, but it took 4 or 5 days to get here. So I was like, I'll just buy that because I'm getting ready to record that show, and I wanted to get through the game.
Yeah,
so I needed to get on it. But beat that. Played a little bit of Pocket Card Jockey. I hadn't really dug into it a whole lot, so I've been digging into it more. I remember when it first released, I played a little bit, but because it's free to play. But there's definitely some interesting things going on in that game that I wasn't expecting. The race itself is a lot more complicated, the different mechanics and understanding everything that's going on. I was kind of the first time I fired it up, I was kind of halfway I was playing it like Dan would, halfway reading what you do, and I saying I go to the next race, and I'm I don't remember this mechanic. Where did this come from?
Yeah,
it's
I try to not do that anymore.
Yeah,
if you don't pay attention to when the turns come up, you'll get left in the dust.
And I've been playing some Earthworm Jim 2 also for the show. I'm not enjoying Earthworm Jim 2 as much as I remembered enjoying it as a kid either. The hitbox is stupid in that game. The blaster is worthless for most enemies. So then you're using the worm whip, and it's so hard to hit an enemy with it.
I know.
And I'm this is frustrating.
Not well designed. It's fun, great art style, just not well designed as a game.
Yeah, the second level, at first I was where did you even go? And then I realized oh yeah, you have to use the blaster to maneuver
shoot the sand.
Shoot the sand to move it around. And I was geez, this is not as fun as I wanted it to be.
No, it's annoying.
I also didn't choose this. This was community chosen, so
it was thrust upon you. Some are born with Earthworm Jim. Some have Earthworm Jim thrust upon them.
Yeah. The latter for me. I remember playing it as a kid, and it was okay. I just rented it a couple times. I don't think I ever beat it. Like I said, I don't think anyone has.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel when you're a kid, there's just more time to just deal with bad bullcrap in a game. I rented it for the weekend. Willing. This is what I'm playing, so I better get through this level.
Yeah, you're more.
You also can't always tell the difference between when a game is just bullcrap and when you just don't know how to play it.
Yeah.
Well, there's no great explanation on it either. Of
True.
When I rented a game as a kid, almost 9 times out of 10, there was no manual.
No.
Every once in a while, you get a printed one that they threw in there to try to compensate, but it was usually so poorly photocopied that you might as well not have even had it in there. And then for Dan, I also played some of Turok on PS3.
Yes.
The
new game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's already kicking my butt because I'm not a big first-person shooter guy, and that's it's full-on modern first-person shooter. It's kind of hard to adjust the aiming system.
Well, and you know what? I played it a little bit too, and I have the PS3 version as well, and I think I'm going to pick up the Xbox 360 version because I don't like the PlayStation controller.
Oh.
So
yeah, I like the PS3 controller. That's what I had in that generation for the majority of it. Because all my Xboxes kept dying. So then I just switched over. But I don't know. It just doesn't feel like it feels modern enough, but the controls don't feel as modern as I want them to.
Honestly,
it's not buttery smooth.
Yeah, I honestly feel like I liked Turok Evolution better from the previous generation.
Yeah,
I feel like that game was just fun, like fine, like great, good Turok game.
Yeah. I don't know why it stopped there. You know what I mean?
Acclaim died.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And then the property was lost.
In the cogs there.
Good old Acclaimed. And actually a fun little through line that I like to bring up every time we talk about Turok is that the guys who worked at the Austin studio in Acclaim, a lot of them got hired at Retro and worked on Metroid Prime. So you can see a through line there. Cool. Thanks, John. So for me this week, I took a little trip to San Diego to visit my sister. It was amazing. I had such a well-needed like R&R, like really just needed to take a break from normal life. Left the family behind, went by myself, went to the beach every day. Feel grounded now. Feel a lot better. I'm tired tonight, but I didn't feel tired after that trip. That was last week. So we went to the local retro game store, which is Calico Games and Luna in San Diego, which are both pretty cool, different places. One is very clean and very expensive, and the other one is not very clean, but also like way cheaper. So kind of pick your poison as far as you whatever kind of game store you want to go to. Picked up Turok on the PS3, as we said. Also finally grabbed a copy of Extreme G for the N64, just a futuristic racing game. Weapons, used to rent it a lot as a kid. Still awesome. Pretty fun. Kind of hard to like control. Like I don't remember having this much trouble like keeping my motorcycle on the track. Like I didn't realize that it was like that crazy, but it is. It's very crazy. Also picked up from the San Diego trip DK Jungle Climber, which somehow I didn't know it existed. Like a Donkey Kong game exists that I didn't know about. It's the sequel to DK King of Swing, but it was received a lot better. Like it's like they learned some lessons from that weird mechanic in King of Swing where you're like swinging around with your arms. I really like it. I love the puzzle mechanic. The characters are great. The music is great. I mean, it's Donkey Kong, so what's not to love? So, yeah. Also got a weird little game that I bought. I originally bought it at launch for the DS because it was like Mario 64 and what else? Nothing. This game Break 'em All, which is essentially like a souped up Breakout with like power-ups and stuff. Imagine like the power-up system of like Gradius, where like the more like power-ups you collect, you can choose a different like aspect of your ship to upgrade. It's like that, except it's Breakout. So just, yeah, I really like it. It's really fun. It's very well done. You use the touch screen to like move your thing back and forth. So it's very intuitive, easy to play. I really enjoy it. Glad I bought it back then. Glad I found it for $5 in 2022. Also picked up a copy of Metal Arms Glitch in the System for the Xbox for a certain video that I can't talk about yet. I have one for the GameCube, but my GameCube one looks like it's starting to rot in the disc a little bit, and that's really making me upset. So I bought one for the Xbox as a backup. It's very cheap for the Xbox. And then finally today, actually, in the mail came my big purchase of the month, which is Chameleon Twist 2. If you know what Chameleon Twist is, then we are friends now. Just accept it. Chameleon Twist I rented for the N64 back in the day. It's a little like Yoshi tongue based puzzle platformer type deal. So fun. I love it so much. I've never played the second one, but we're going to remedy that now. And then I kind of put everything down and played a ton of Splatoon 2 randomly. Like I just fired it up while I was on vacation and was like, oh yeah, Splatoon is awesome. Remember Splatoon? Shoot. And like, yeah. So Splatoon's great. Kind of feel like I'm gearing up for 3, which is coming out soon, which is always good to be ready to get to the top of the ranks really fast when a brand new Splatoon comes out.
Stay fresh.
Stay fresh. Stay off the hook.
Yep.
All right, so that's it for me. Why don't we jump into some Prices Retro? If this is your first time playing Prices Retro, this is how we play. I'm going to list off 4 or 5 games, and everyone else has to guess how much the games are worth in total. Whoever guesses the closest wins that round, and the next person does their list, and everyone else guesses. Everyone brought a list, and everyone guesses on each other's list, and at the end of the game, whoever won the most rounds wins the game. But look out for Poltergeist. He always guesses $300 on each list. And if he wins the game, I have to give away a sticker from the merch store. Bwah, bwah, bwah. High stakes. This is high stakes. Prices Retro today, guys. It's just the 3 of us, so I'm going to go first. So a little backstory. This week, I went to my local retro game store, and they had this very interesting import Dreamcast game where you pilot a train. And it has a train conductor controller with like throttle and like on off and a bunch of buttons and stuff. So all of my games are related to trains somehow. Okay. So first game is Train Sim World 2 Rush Hour Deluxe Edition for the PlayStation 5, complete in box. Blue Train Murder Case for the Famicom, complete in box. A-Train for the PlayStation, complete in box. And How to Train Your Dragon 2 for the Wii U, complete in box.
You couldn't find another train game, could you?
I ran out of time, honestly.
Not Zelda Spirit Tracks or something?
That doesn't have the word train in it. I could have done Spirit Tracks, I guess. I tried to keep it in the name. Do you want me to run through them again? No?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Train Sim World 2 Rush Hour Deluxe Edition for PS5. These are all complete in box. Blue Train Murder Case for Famicom. How to Train Your Dragon 2 for Wii U. And A-Train for PlayStation. Let's put our thinking caps on.
I am going to guess $55.
Ooh.
I was going to say $100.
100. John says 100. Okay. Actual retail price is $132.36 for my lot, Sweet. Making John the winner. Let's go. Yep. Let's do it. Train Sim World 2 Rush Hour Deluxe Edition for PS5 is $39.19. Blue Train Murder Case for Famicom is $23.92. How to Train Your Dragon 2 for the Wii U is a staggering $44.26.
Wow.
Ooh.
Okay, that's the one I was most off on.
I was shocked, honestly. An A-Train for the PlayStation, which is actually looks like a pretty cool little train sim game for the PS1. Early PS1 game. $24.99 for a grand total of $132.36. John wins with a guess of 100. John takes the round. Ba-ba-bow. I don't know what that was.
Sound effects.
Sound effects. We need more sound effects in Prices Retro. Prices Retro Extreme is what we should do. John, you want to go next?
Sure. I have a list of Hanna-Barbera licensed property games. The first one is Jetsons Cogswell's. That's a hard one to say. Cogswell's Caper for the NES, Loose. The second game is Wacky Races for the NES, Loose. The third game is The Adventures of Yogi Bear on the Super Nintendo, Loose. And the last game is Scooby-Doo Mystery for the Sega Genesis, Loose.
John, I'm going to go $299 on that one. because that's where I think this is going.
I've got 185. I feel like one of these is going to be really valuable, but I have no idea which one.
So, the total value of my lot is $779.22.
Oh my gosh! Sam? What did you guess?
It's not Scooby-Doo Mystery. It can't be. I have that game for the Super Nintendo. There's no way the Genesis versions.
What was Sam's
Super
guess?
Nintendo one is...
I guessed 185.
Oh, so the Ghost won?
Ghost won.
Ghost won.
I went the wrong way.
Oh, no, wait, hold on. Oh, he barely... Yeah, he beat you by like...
I went down instead of up. I thought I was kind of under.
He went below 300, and we're all very low.
Bummer, dude.
Is it the Yogi Bear one?
So, Jetson's Cogswell's Caper... loose for the NES is $312.50.
Oh my god.
Wacky Races for the NES loose is $403.16. The Adventures of Yogi the Bear for the Super Nintendo is $21.47. And Scooby-Doo Mystery for the Sega Genesis is $42.09. And Sam, your copy is only worth about $10. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But the Super Nintendo
people want it for the Genesis.
Worth less.
Dang.
Because I was about to throw that on there, and
Brutal.
I was like, ooh, this Genesis one's a little bit more expensive.
Probably just nobody bought the Genesis version.
That's probably true.
It too.
Sam, that is your list.
Well, don't let the Ghost win.
I'll try.
If Dan wins, then we'll have to apply the tiebreaker rule.
Oh, man. Drama.
So I have a very loosely related list of deep cuts from Sunsoft's back catalog here. They were involved in all of these games, mostly as a publisher, not as a developer. So first off, I have Hungry Dinosaurs for the Super Nintendo. This is the PAL version. Did not release in North America.
Hungry Dinosaurs.
I try to avoid those, but literally dinosaurs. I had to put it on there.
Literally Hungry Dinosaurs.
Daedalian Opus for the Game Boy. Loose.
What the heck?
Quest, Brian's Journey for the Game Boy Color. Loose. And last but not least, Barcode World for the Famicom.
Oh, Barcode
Loose.
World. Infamous.
I have a feeling that one of those is more valuable than what I think that any of them are.
Yeah, I'm gonna go $2.99 again.
$2.99 for Dan.
Can't let the Ghost win.
Let me do... Oh, shoot. If we're going to play that game, I'll just do 301.
What if it was exactly $300?
I'd jump off a bridge.
$300.05.
I'd quit forever. I'd never podcast again.
So it's not. So Dan will win because the total is $213.14.
Okay, so the
Should've
Ghost
went with my gut.
Ghost didn't win, but now we have to tie break between me, John, and the Ghost. And what did we decide?
I'll give you the breakdown
the Ghost
while you figure that out.
What did we decide even?
What was the total of your lot again, Sam? 213 what?
$213.14.
14 cents, okay.
So Hungry Dinosaurs is the most expensive one in the lot. $131.98.
Whoa.
Daedalian Opus for the Game Boy, a whopping $6.64. Quest Brian's Journey for the Game Boy Color is $49.52. And Barcode World for the Famicom is $25 even.
Daedalian Opus is a stupid puzzle game.
Yep.
Yeah,
What's
I recognize
Quest
the
Brian's
color.
Journey? Is that
So it actually is supposed to be a spin-off of Quest 64.
Oh, I was thinking it would be something like Monty Python related.
Oh.
No.
Oh, it does look like. Look at that. Quest Brian's Journey. What does this game go for? Say that again.
$49.
$49.52, Liz.
I bet it's better than Quest 64.
It's $125 complete.
I don't know. You just bought Quest 64, so why don't you tell us?
It's not good. It's not. I would say it's not great. It's okay. Oh, look, the battle system
back in the day.
I'm watching a video of the Game Boy Advance, the color game, and it's pretty similar to Quest 64. Like a kind of a real-time-ish battle system.
Was Quest 64 Sunsoft also?
I don't think so. I think they just handled this for whatever reason.
Grabbed that one randomly to publish. Nice.
Brian's Journey.
All right,
Quest 64 developed by Imagineer, published by different people in every region. In the North America, published by THQ.
That's right.
In Europe, by Konami, and self-published by Imagineer in Japan.
Good God. So, John, do we have a tiebreaker here?
Didn't we go by who had the best overall score? Wasn't that one we could use?
Uh-huh.
So, hold on.
Yeah, the question was because the ghost has to guess on every round, including the one you gave. The ghost is at a disadvantage there.
I'm okay with it.
I can always make his 66% of his total.
No, I'm okay with him never winning.
Because if we go by total, because my list was so outrageous and outlandish, I win by quite a bit.
Good. You win.
Yep. We missed yours by a lot.
I'm happy of it. Yeah. I'm glad you won, John. Congratulations, John.
I was only 120 off.
Good show. Good stuff. We have a Games Described Badly this week, given to us by the one and only Ambassador, who just loves sending us lists, and I love them. I love him for it. Okay, Games Described Badly. He's got 6 games. Let's see what we got here. Let me just drag my notes over so that I can take notes whilst doing the thing. Okay, game number 1. A game named after a Gary Jules song. Graphics look like a Sin City graphic novel. Mad World.
Yeah.
Oh, look, hold on. There's a theme.
Yeah.
The theme is M-rated games on the Wii. Score all perfectly. I changed my name to Amy Rose Fan 420. Again. Score all wrong, and Dan changes his name to DualShock Lover. He just
knows. Appropriate for this episode already.
He knows how to get me. I know. All right. So Mad World.
I think we got that first one.
Yeah, pretty sure you're okay.
Yeah. Okay, it's game 2. The tagline for this game is "Chop till you drop." It's a Wii port that completely removes the photo taking mechanic. That is, what's the zombie game in the mall?
Dead Rising.
Mm-hmm.
But it's it is Dead Rising, but I don't know which one specifically.
I think it's just Dead Rising Chop Till You Drop. It's its own game.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. All right. Game number 3. The game before the sequel that had a level called No Russian.
Is that one of the Call of Duty games? So Modern Warfare.
It's an M-rated
Modern
Wii
Warfare
game.
2 is the one with no Russian. I'm thinking.
Was that on Wii?
I have no idea.
Was Modern Warfare on Wii? I think it was.
I think there was a version of Modern Warfare, but I don't know if it was the same as the. Okay.
Are we going with Call of Duty Modern Warfare?
What does he mean by the game before the sequel?
It means the second one has a level called No Russian, but we're guessing on the first game. I would imagine
it would just be Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Yeah. Is that what we're guessing?
Yep.
All right. His name is on the line here, so. All right.
Oh, man.
Game 4. The complete opposite of we have a surplus of people who save the day.
No more heroes.
No more heroes.
That's good. Okay. Game 5. Translate people who die martial arts, colon, biblical war.
People who die?
Mortal Kombat Armageddon.
Yep.
It's good.
That would be it.
And game 6. This Sega property never made it to arcades. It was ported to the PS3 to use their Move controllers. The game is inspired by Grindhouse films. Manhunt? Manhunt was PS2 though.
Yeah,
and Wii. It was also on Wii, but I don't think that was Sega.
No.
House of the Dead?
House of the Dead, but it made it to arcades.
But okay, the Wii version is 2 and 3.
Overkill. Wasn't one of them Overkill?
Oh, House of the Dead Overkill.
Is that not in arcades?
I don't think so.
Sorry, what was the full description again?
The Sega property never made it to arcades. It was ported to the PS3 to use their Move controllers. The game was inspired by Grindhouse films. I think that's a good guess. House of the Dead Overkill?
Yeah, because I have that on PS3.
Well, I'm going to go with it. That's a good guess. Okay. Here we go. Answer number 1 is a game named after a Gary Jules song. Graphics look like Sin City. Graphic novel, we guessed Mad World. And the answer is Mad World. Game number 2, the tagline for this game is Chop Till You Drop. It was a Wii port that completely removed the photo taking mechanic. We guessed Dead Rising. Answer is Dead Rising, Chop Till You Drop. Game 3. The game before the sequel that had the level called No Russian. We guessed Call of Duty Modern Warfare. The answer is Call of Duty Modern Warfare Reflex Edition. Bonus points for getting the reflex part, which we didn't, but we don't need bonus points to win. We're already winning. That was a good guess, actually. I wasn't sure about that one. Number 5.
Sam for the win.
Yeah, for real. Number 4, the complete opposite of we have a surplus of people who save the day. We guess No More Heroes. The actual answer is No More Heroes. Game 5, translate people who die, martial arts, biblical war. We guessed Mortal Kombat Armageddon. The answer is Mortal Kombat Armageddon. And finally, Game 6. This Sega property never made it to the arcades. It was ported to the PS3 to use their Move controllers. The game is inspired by Grindhouse films. We guessed House of the Dead Overkill. Answer is House of the Dead Overkill. And the ambassador must change his name to Amy Rose Fan 420 until he can catch us on another
and get a chance to win his name back.
Games described badly. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for the list, Amy Rose Fan 420.
So good. Thank you, Amy Rose Fan 420. He also sent us another fact or crap. You guys want to do a fact or crap?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Fact number 1. Lego is the only franchise to put a Batman game on the Wii. I think that's true. Because the game's coming out at the time where the
Arkham came to Wii U.
Yeah, but not
Wii, not to the Wii.
Yeah.
Was there a
No. Batman Brave and the Bold. Batman Brave and the Bold came to Wii.
Okay, all right. We're gonna say false. Sam comes to the rescue. Fact 2.
That was made by Way Forward.
Oh, no way.
The Batman Brave and the Bold. It's actually really good.
Probably also very expensive now.
Very brave and bold.
It could be.
Fact 2. In Korea... Wait, hold on. We got to look it up now. We got to look it up. Oh, no, I can't look it up because then I'll know the answer. Okay, fact 2. In Korea, the Nintendo was banned until 2004. So Hyundai created the Comboy, Super Comboy, and Comboy 64. I don't think any of that's true. That sounds very false.
I have never heard of the Comboy.
Like, why would you have created this?
There are several details there that could be wrong with the other things being.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, any of the names, it could just be one name is wrong.
Well, and also, why would you make Super Comboy in 2004? That doesn't make sense. Fact 3.
Well,
what?
No, he's saying that instead, Nintendo was not allowed into Korea until 2004. So all these things were put in place of Nintendo products.
Are we changing our minds? Is it really true?
This could be true.
You think so?
It's plausible. I mean, I have no knowledge that contradicts it.
Let's roll the dice. Let's go true. Let's go true on this one. Innocent until proven guilty. Fact 3. The first game to be played by astronauts in space was Mario Land on the Game Boy by U.S. astronaut Michael Clifford. Wasn't it Tetris? It wasn't Mario Land.
I don't know. Mario Land was a launch game, so
was Tetris.
If you brought a Game Boy into space, you could have been playing Mario Land.
Yeah.
It might be more likely that you'd play Tetris.
Part of me thinks that it was Tetris. Like, I remember this being a thing.
Me. Okay. I'm good with it.
I'm going to go.
It would be the bridge. But why would you put... No, you wouldn't play Tetris because you'd be letting the Russians win the space race.
Exactly, yeah. You played a Russian game in space?
I don't know, guys. I have a gut feeling about this one.
Letting the cosmonauts win.
I'm going to go... Are you guys really pushing true? Because I'm feeling false.
I don't actually know.
I've got a gut feeling. We're going to test my gut.
Devil's advocate.
We're going to test my gut here. Fact 4. The UK version of FIFA 2001 and Gran Turismo had scratch and sniff discs that smell like their respective sport. That sounds really false.
I don't know how you distill that to a smell. But then again, the Earthbound Player's Guide hidden scent was apparently pizza, and it did not smell like pizza.
Ooh. Fact number 5. The Japanese version of Final Fantasy Legend 2 had a mission where you could talk to opium drug dealers. The US changed it to illegal banana dealers. I believe that.
Man, I don't remember.
It was a secret.
It sounds like a great idea anyway.
Did you ever play Legend 2, Sam?
No.
I mean, I have the Japanese version of 1 now. I don't have 2. And I wouldn't be able to read it to tell you if it was opium dealers or not.
I believe this. This seems like something that would exist. That'd be real.
It's just kind of weird that that's a saga game. Why would you even have opium dealers?
I don't know. Japanese are weird.
Yeah.
Or bananas.
Final answer?
I could see bananas more than opium.
Could just be that it was always bananas.
Yep.
It was always... There is a lot that could be wrong with that. I'm guessing true. It just seems like something that would happen. There's my can opening.
Go for round 2 of tea, or is that...
That's round 2. Round 2 of tea, because it's 88 degrees in here. I need something cool to wet my whistle. I'm going to go true on this last one, unless you guys have a hard objection.
I don't.
All right. Let's see.
I don't remember.
Let's see these answers. We've got Lego was the only franchise to put Batman in the Batman game on the Wii? We guessed false. The answer is false. Batman Brave and the Bold was one-off based on the short-lived cartoon. Fact number 2, in Korea, the Nintendo was banned until 2004. So Hyundai created the Cowboy, Super Comboy, and Comboy 64. I want to keep saying Cowboy, but it's Comboy. We guessed true. Answer 2 is true. Hyundai is the man. Dan, please do not try to collect these. Why?
They're probably stupid expensive.
Hyundai Comboy. I'm looking it up. Oh yeah, it's only $600 for a Super Comboy.
You know, it's not expensive as Batman Brave and the Bold for the Wii.
Oh yeah?
How much is it?
$11.99 complete in box.
Sweet. According to be adding that one here soon.
Yeah, it seems like a good one to have. Fact 3, the game to be played by astronauts in space. The first game, to be played by astronauts in space was Mario Land on the Game Boy by U.S. astronaut Michael Clifford. I felt very strongly that this was false, and survey says false. It was a Russian astronaut playing Tetris. I frickin' knew it.
You knew half of it.
I knew enough. Okay, a point is a point, John.
Sam and I were on the other end of that.
You guys were like,
why would an American astronaut play Tetris?
Why would he play Tetris? Because it wasn't American.
Because he was Russian.
That's my secret. I'm always Russian. All right, fact 4. The UK version of FIFA 2001 and Gran Turismo had a scratch and sniff discs that smelled like their respective sport. We guessed false. Actual answer is true. I'm glad that did not come. He says,
now you got to collect those discs.
Burnt rubber and gym socks.
Yep.
Scratch and sniff.
Why would you scratch your disc? That just seems like you're asking for trouble. Fact 5. The Japanese version of Final Fantasy Legend 2 had a mission where you could talk to opium drug dealers. The US changed it to illegal bananas. We guessed true. Survey says true. Somewhere Donkey Kong is buying 2 kilos of Colombian cut plantains. Nice. Nice jokes. Thank you, Dixie Con. Oh no, what's your name? Amy Rose fan 420.
Dixie Con.
Dixie Con. Wrong.
So we only missed one. That's not bad.
No, not bad at all. Not bad at all. Amy Rose fan 420. We appreciate you. Always fun with the lists. John, do you have a trivia card for us?
Yeah, but it's jeez.
Pick a different one.
How was the? We got. I got 52 of these we got to do, so we might as well do them.
All right.
How was the Sega Genesis known outside of North America?
How is it known?
Like its name, the Mega
Drive.
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
The game SSX Tricky is a video game based on which sport?
Scalp skiing, rabbit hunting, gorilla riding.
What's the Olympic sport where you have to ski with the gun and then like shoot something?
Bro, what? Curling?
There's an Olympic. Yeah,
that's not curling.
No, not curling.
Skeet shooting.
No, it's like cross country something.
Cross country flying disc shooting. For crying out loud.
There
well, are you going to look it up?
Ski sport with shooting is a biathlon.
Shooting and skiing.
It's like yeah.
Well,
combines cross country skiing and rifle shooting.
Today we learned
it's treated
something.
as a race. So you have to race to the bottom of the place and shoot your gun.
Why don't we race over to our show topic and talk some NES stuff? Welcome back to our show. We just thought we would have a little chat about our NES past, present, and future. Our personal collections, experiences, and stuff like that to celebrate the launch, not necessarily the launch yet, but the full funding of the NES Pro magazine, thanks to our good friend Moses, aka the Well-Read Mage, who you should go follow on Twitter because he's hilarious and has lots of great conversations and is on all kinds of podcasts and stuff. So, guys, I just have a bunch of little questionies here to ask you. We're just going to run down the list. We can have discussions as we go. What do y'all think?
Sounds good to me.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So first, what was the first NES game that you played? John.
Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
Either that or Duck Hunt.
Yeah, I don't know that I remember like the first one because Adam had it. So I would imagine it was probably Super Mario Brothers because that was the most accessible by far. When and how did you get your first NES? Sam?
I mean, I technically didn't. I never had an actual NES.
Well,
everything I've played has been not something owned by me or through re-releases, Virtual Console.
So how did you
Switch apps?
How did you first?
I thought you
play?
were. I thought you were going to say you had a Comboy.
I played. I think I played Duck Hunt or Mario Bros at a friend's house pretty early on.
Yeah. What about you, John?
I think I got my first NES at a yard sale.
Oh, no way!
I was a kid.
Sweet.
Yeah, it would have been way later. I already had a Super Nintendo by the time I got my NES.
That must have been cool as a kid.
Yeah, I mean it was cheap. I remember that, and like came with a few games. But my cousin had one way earlier. I played a lot at his house.
Right on. Yeah, it was never my NES. It was always Adam's, my big brother's NES. I don't think I bought my own NES until it was probably a situation like that, John, where it was like a yard sale find or something. And actually, it was funny. The one that I had didn't have a door. And my good friend at the time, Herbie Bassett, actually made me a door. He does a fair amount of welding. So he made me a steel door. And it was like a custom NES door. I thought it was so cool. And let's see what else we got here. What is your favorite NES game?
It's a pretty tough one here.
Yeah.
Can I just say Mega Man 2.5 so I don't have to pick between Mega Man 2 and Mega Man 3?
Yeah. Why don't we list a couple of your favorites off? We could do that.
2.5.
2.5.
I mean, all the NES Mega Man games.
I gotta throw in a vote for Tiny Toon Adventures.
All right.
Which is like you had 3 different characters. They all had different mechanics. The platforming was really fun. I really enjoyed that one.
Like Castlevania 3.
A little bit.
Yeah, the Castlevania games as well.
Yeah.
I always have a soft spot for Kid Icarus. I know it's one that doesn't get a lot of love, I think, over time, but yeah, I think it's great. I think I do wonder if that game didn't release so close to Metroid. I think it released the exact same day as Metroid.
Oh my gosh.
If I'm remembering correctly. If that would have been a bigger franchise for Nintendo, if that hadn't been the case.
I don't know. I think that game just hates people. Like the fact that you die by not, like if you fall, you can't fall down. Like to the next level or to the level.
I mean, there are a lot of games doing that back then, though.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, apparently, the Game Boy game is much better, from what I've heard.
Well, if you're gonna play Kid Icarus, like the NES version, you need to play the 3DS version, the Kid Icarus 3D.
Uprising?
No. If you
the 3DS had the 3D versions of NES games.
Ah.
They fixed a lot of the things, little simple
really
quality of life changes to make the game a little bit more accessible.
Okay, all right, I'm down for that.
But yeah, the Game Boy game does fix some of the issues people have with it. Like you can actually just fall back to the start of the level if it's a very vertical level. And the other problem the game has is that it's really hardest at the beginning. Like once you get halfway through the game, it stops being so hard.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite.
Because you start getting more health. You basically level up.
Well, and the levels are considerably easier.
That's so weird.
Too.
Well, but I mean, the second
the game
set of levels is side-scrolling and not vertical scrolling.
Oh.
Yeah. Like you're escaping hell, basically. So, I mean, it would make sense that the game is very difficult at the beginning and that it would get easier as you get out of hell,
I guess the story makes sense, but from like a gameplay perspective, that's not exactly a good experience.
Oh, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like the beginning of the game, like you feel like the game hates you. Like everything that you know is not what you know when you first play Kid Icarus. If it's not the first NES game you ever played, I can't think of too many games that were killing you on vertical scrolling levels. If you go down, like if there's a designed pit in a level like Mario or something, yeah, that kills you. But in a level where you just came from down there, usually if you fall down, like you just go down to the next.
What if you're playing Ninja Gaiden and everything just kills you?
You get past the screen.
That game hates you too.
Yeah. Mario 3,
game everybody likes, though.
Mario 3.
Yeah, Mario 3.
That's the NES
Mario
game.
3 is a great choice. That is just a great video game all around.
Top to bottom. Through and
Dragon
through.
Quest.
Huh?
Dragon Quest or...
Yeah, Dragon Warrior.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I played a lot of Yonoid.
Yonoid, huh?
That game is not like super great, but I played so much of it that I feel like it was great.
So, what's the last...
Gumshoe.
Gumshoe, yeah. What's the last NES game you played, like most recently?
Well, in my case, it would be, assuming that the Switch app counts, it would be Earthbound Beginnings. I just finished that 2 weeks ago.
That would count. I'm trying to think.
I streamed it, man. It was a whole sing-along finale.
Did you sing?
Mine would be Eliminator Boat Duel.
I did. Should have been there. Eliminator Boat Duel.
Classic.
Great one.
Just because every once in a while you just have to sit down and play that game. It's that good.
You do. Eliminator Boat Duel is actually really good.
It is. It's a hidden gem. Like everybody complained about it. They're like, "What is this garbage? Why is Nintendo giving this?" And then you play the game and you're like, "Wait a minute! I take all that back. This game's very good."
Crazy. Probably Metroid for me. I go back to that game quite a bit, and it's on NSO now, so it makes it easier. I don't go back to NES very often. It's not. I don't have a lot of memories of it as a kid. So
this is what gets you in trouble with Zablanc
and a bunch of people. They're like diehard NES fans. Anything that the NES did okay, like the Super Nintendo or other systems did better. So I see no reason to go back to it really, other than nostalgia.
Definitely not going back to play Ice Climbers.
No. Nope. What's your favorite underrated NES game? Just like maybe a game that nobody's heard of or a game that gets frequently.
Well, we already mentioned Eliminator Boat Duel.
Well, yeah, but
spoiled that question.
The other one for me is Vice Project Doom. That's also on the NSO app, and nobody plays it, and it's actually awesome.
Shout out to Lunar Pool, the pool game where you can turn off gravity and then the balls bounce around literally forever. You just watch the screen as the balls bounce around until everything gets in a hole. And there's like 99 shapes of pool tables too. So things get bananas really quick. Really love Lunar Pool. Shout out to Jackal, the Konami game, 2-player top-down Jeep combat game. Really, really good.
Solomon's Key is good too.
Yeah. Yep. Mario 3, because no matter how high you rate that game, it's always underrated.
I would say Mario 2 is the underrated.
Right. Yeah,
Mario
that's
game,
true. That's
not Mario
true.
3.
I do like Mario 2. What is your favorite piece of NES trivia? You guys got some NES trivia in the old noggin? No? I've got one. So something that I always thought was cool was that they designed it to basically fit neatly next to a VCR with like the front loading and the gray color scheme, because they wanted it to appear to be more of an appliance than a toy. Since the video game market crashed, they were trying to appease people fool them back into video games.
But then they also marketed Rob so that it would look like a toy.
Yeah, they also they chose to make
electronic
it
so that they could sell it in the toy aisle and not the electronics aisle. They were like getting around it two ways. Nintendo Seal of Quality. Nintendo Seal of Quality was another move away from Atari, where it was like, look, we know some games are bad. Here's some good ones, right? Like, we only put good games on our system. Yeah, pretty crazy. You guys got anything else?
I can't think of any like good fun facts on the NES.
Yeah, I don't have too many that aren't like super well known anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything like crazy, but it's fun to remember some history and to go back to it, because I'm sure we get some younger gamers in our midst who would like to know some fun facts that we think everybody knows.
I mean, even just Rob himself is a pretty fun deal. Like,
yeah, Rob is
Stack
great.
Up. Most people don't even know Stack Up, you know, the other part of Rob. They just know like the main part.
Mm-hmm.
Like Stack Up is out. Like, most people don't know it because you can't find it anymore. It's so obscure, and like all the pieces that it takes to play it are impossible to find.
I mean, I guess since I brought up Barcode World, the fact that you could plug a barcode battler into a Famicom, that was a thing. That there were games that used that connectivity. Really, you could consider it the earliest incarnation of the e-reader.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo is always known for doing stuff. They had like software that you could use a sewing machine with. I believe it's the Game Boy.
Yeah, the Mario teaches sewing.
Miracle Piano. The actual piano itself, I want to say Miracle Piano is not very expensive. Like, you know, $50-$60 out the door for the piano too. Unless you get like complete in box or something crazy. NES teaches piano, Miracle Piano. What's your favorite NES controller configuration? I say configuration because some people have like grips they put on their NES controller to make it go. But on my mind, it's hard to beat the Dogbone. Dogbone had the bigger D-pad, the rounded corners, no corners.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up more with Super Nintendo, so that feels more natural to me.
Yeah.
You guys weren't playing the Max?
No.
The slider?
You shut up. But a lot of people have those grips. Do you know the grips that slide onto the side of the Square controller?
Yeah, I mean, that's because, like Andros pointed out, it's a pointy death trap. Like, it's attacking your hands the whole time you're playing it.
Honestly, it is.
I don't know. Dogbone is definitely the way to go.
Yeah. Any love for the Advantage?
I have one.
That's a no, I guess.
What was the other stick called?
I
have one of those too.
John's getting up to look at his collection.
The Quick Shot.
Oh, Quick Shot. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just strictly like a flight sim joystick.
You
would play everything with it.
There were some cool accessories for the NES. You guys remember the NES Satellite, where it was like an infrared receiver for the NES and then an infrared like dock you put on your coffee table. And it doesn't move, right? So it always stays connected. And then you can plug 4 controllers into the dock on your coffee table, and it connects wirelessly with the NES via infrared. That was pretty cool.
We had half of that when I was a kid. My cousin did. We had the part that you plug the controllers in, but we did not have the receiver that plugged into the controller ports on the NES. And we were like trying to figure out how it worked. Like we put batteries in it and we're like,
my
what the heck?
gosh.
Why is this not working? I mean, whenever you're 5 or 6 years old, you're just like,
paperweight.
Maybe something's missing.
And then finally, we've got, did the NES age well? Personal question.
Some games.
I think there is a big difference. I mean, I guess you could say this. Like, every system has some games that are just duds, but it does seem to me like the NES itself came a long way from, like, those black box games to stuff like Mario 3.
Yeah.
Or Mega Man 2. That's still, like, some of the best games, period.
I mean, just look at Kirby.
Kirby's Adventure. So solid.
Kirby's Adventure is another great one. Aged perfectly.
Looked like it could have been on the Super Nintendo when it came out.
Well, and I think that's the thing, right? Like, I think the aesthetic, the art style, and the way you design games on a system like that has aged well. We're still getting demakes of games in an 8-bit style because the style is timeless. And we know immediately what we're looking at and where it came from when we see it. And I think that you're right. There is a lot on the NES that's bad now, just not fun, not good to play, wasn't explained well at the time, just hard to navigate. But at the same time, there's a lot of classics. So it kind of just depends on what you're playing.
Yeah,
and that's not to say that like the black box games were necessarily bad. I mean, stuff like Balloon Fight is still really fun, or like ice hockey or whatever.
Yeah,
it's just I don't think it holds up the way something like Mario 3 does.
Big time. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, in that time period when it came out, you didn't have a whole lot to. I mean, if you looked at like what a 2600 was doing, the Nintendo was like way leaps and bounds, even more than like whenever Atari tried to come out and say, "Oh, this is our 7800," and it's on par with Nintendo, like it can do what Nintendo does, and then it wasn't.
Yeah,
it still wasn't as good.
But then the games were still like Pac-Man.
Yeah.
Donkey Kong.
That's what I'm saying. Like they didn't have.
And like the early NES games were still almost like you look at like a Clue Clue Land or an Ice Climbers, and like it still feels like that. But then you look at The Legend of Zelda, Mario Bros. 3, Mega Man 2.
I mean, Metroid to some extent. Metroid really blew some minds back then. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it took a while. It took a while for the Nintendo to kind of break away from that, trying to bring the arcade home kind of mindset. Everything was based around like an arcade style game,
and realizing you could do so much more when people had a long time to put into a game.
Yeah,
and this even before saves were standard, even when you're getting by with passwords, but all the same to have a game that has a whole story to it, and not even just to have a story, but I mean just to have a game that
Yeah, and there's a real
to beat the game became like a thing, not just to get a high score.
Yes, games had an end.
There was a real contrast. There's a real contrast between that generation where within the NES itself, you saw practically a generational leap from Mario 1 to Mario 3,
Yep.
Whereas these days, comparing like Breath of the Wild, which came out at launch for the Switch, and like the latest Switch game, Kirby's Forgotten Lands, it's like we're still in like a 3D world. Like none of it is that much more revolutionary, but that was it was so crazy back then how much you could push the NES, and things were
yeah. Well, and some of that does come down to like special chips on cartridges too.
I guess that's true.
The nature of the system was that you were kind of adding to the hardware when you plugged a new cartridge in, especially with some of those really late games.
Yeah, and life cycle. Like, I mean, if you think about it, some of the later games on the NES were like 6 years into the life cycle of a console. And nowadays, like, you don't see that as much. Everybody's already moved on to the next deal. They're not really working to push the. You also see the early exit of consoles. Like everyone starts working on the next generation. So like. You have games that are starting to be developed. Like look at how the PS4 ended. Like there was a few games on there that were developed strictly for the PS4, but in the last like 2 years of its life, everybody was busy making games for the PS5, and they were basically just throwing the PS5 games on PS4 to, because there wasn't enough PS5s out in the wild yet.
Right. Yeah.
But there really wasn't any PS4 exclusive games that came out in the last like year and a half of its life.
That's a tough transition in any generation too.
Yep.
Even for gamers, it is. Like what do we expect for the next generation? And I mean, even between like GameCube and Wii, there was a pretty substantial uptick in graphics. Even though the main differentiator there was the controller, like you still notice the difference between Double Dash and Mario Kart Wii, or the difference between Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword. Like there's a pretty distinct difference graphically.
Well, Skyward Sword, I'd hope.
But yeah, I mean, I would say that I'm living proof that the NES holds up, because I was born around the time that Super Nintendo came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have an NES, and I still managed to wind up playing quite a few NES games.
Yeah, for sure. And
over the course of my life, and I've enjoyed them greatly. I mean,
definitely. That's true. That's a good use.
Like I said, those Mega Man games on NES are still some of my favorite games ever.
Right on. Right on. Well, it's a bit short, but I mean, that's our show topic for this week, guys. And then we didn't get any community couch questions. I feel like everybody's kind of like gearing up for summer, so we're all kind of in low key mode, like focusing on getting ready, spring cleaning, getting ready for summer. Kids are getting out of school and graduating. But I think this summer we're going to kick it into high gear, get some guests on here and some community couch involvement. But just as a reminder, be sure you are playing Earthworm Jim. And keep an eye out for this and next week's on topic episode. And you can listen to me on the Gamer Looks at 40 podcast talking about Uniracers. That's interesting to you. And then don't forget to go support the NES Pro magazine over on Kickstarter. These are all just our friends doing cool projects that we support. Love to support the retro gaming community whenever we can here at RetroLogic. So John, Sam, any last words?
So look forward to seeing here pretty quickly the engagement survey for RetroRewind this month, so we can figure out what kind of show we're going to do. Probably put that out in like a week or so.
Yeah, let people
see
play
if
the
anyone's
game.
playing it. Yeah, give people a little bit more time, but just we'll see. Maybe we'll get more than I don't know. We had a pretty good turnout for Toe Jam and Earl.
Yeah, and I was supposed to be on that show too, and I wasn't, so that would have been like crazy. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny too, because I told Adam, I was like, "Hey, Dan's going to be on, so you guys can kind of tackle it as experience with the co-op play." And then he hops on and he's like, "Where's Dan at?" I was like, "Oh, he couldn't make it."
Yeah, that was a rough day. You can't, this is why, like, there's a lot of us are parents and we just have grace for each other. We just know, John John with his 9 kids or whatever.
We had plenty of support people there that could talk about the game.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I feel kind of bad because I haven't listened to the Mega Dads podcast, and I had Will on there, and I asked him, I'm like, hey, do you have any way to record a podcast? Not knowing that he was on a podcast.
He's like, oh yeah, my podcast. Most everybody has something these days anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, we've had instances where people don't have a way to record locally, and I was asking people record locally.
That's true. Some of our best. We get Solo something on here. He just uses his headphones, his Apple headphones, and he does great. Need to have him on again soon. Good dude. Our whole community is just full of good people. That's that. I guess that's going to be our show, guys. So thanks for listening to the RetroLogic podcast. We are proudly part of the Nintendo Dads family of podcasts. If you like what you hear, check me out on Twitter and Instagram at RetroLogic Games. You're also welcome to jump into our friendly and 100% non-toxic Discord community. The link to that is in my Twitter bio. You can also find all the RetroLogic stuff, the merch, the store, the podcast, the Discord link, the Twitter, all the thingies at our website, which is retrologic.games. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you guys in 2 weeks for another fresh. Keep it fresh. Don't get cooked. Stay off the hook and all that good stuff.
Bye now.
Goodbye.
Anybody have to go pee?
Nope.
I might have to go in a minute after all this tea.
Forgot I had this handy, so I can just show Sam.
Arizona green tea.
Oh, the Masterism phaser.
Ginseng and honey. Only 99 cents.
Light phaser.
Light phaser.
Light on caffeine. Easy on the tongue.
As opposed to the dark phaser.
An American company. Dark phaser sounds like a Star Wars thing. Dark saber.
I will say, or how did Sega get away with theirs looking like a real gun? And Nintendo, gray one that never looked like a real gun, even when it was gray, had to turn theirs to orange. Because this looks way more like a gun than
I don't know.
The Zapper.
Your guess is as good as mine. That's crazy. Maybe they were just targeting Nintendo because Sega was too small to care.
I will say the clicky, the trigger is better than the Zapper.
Oh, clicky trigger.
It's got more of a click to it.
Do you guys like my Arizona tea commercial while you were talking about the light phaser?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Good. I'm glad somebody noticed.
It was a great commercial break.
Back to our show.